It's time to focus in on results, and L&T Finance is the counter that we're focusing on. It was a bit of a mixed quarter three performance for the company. You had net interest income that slid just a bit, but the PAT has risen on a year-on-year basis. They've seen a record disbursement in the third quarter as well, with signs that the business is heading towards normalcy. We've got Dinanath Dubhashi, who's the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of L&T Finance Holdings, joining in. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the time. I will start by asking about the quarter gone by. 12% growth in PAT is what you reported, robust disbursement, but you had a slide in the NII. What, according to you, led to this performance?
So, over the last 2 years, situation in the industry, overall country, obviously is not great. And I will not be speaking anything different if I keep talking about that. But important thing over the last 7 quarters, what I have been talking is concentrate on business fundamentals all the time. And that is what we have done. Concentrate on our strengths in growing retail, especially of our rural strengths in terms of dealer connect, in terms of precision bombing using analytics, in case of launching new products. And that one thing has worked extremely well. It has worked. This is our best ever quarter of retail disbursements, best ever quarter of rural disbursements. And more importantly, our overall retail portfolio now is for the first time more than 50% of the total portfolio. This is a journey we started 5 years back with less than 25% as retail, and now it is little more than 50%. If you take just rural also, it is now 38% of the total portfolio and making it the highest part of the portfolio.
Good morning, Mr. Dubhashi. This is Cheryl also joining in the conversation. Your disbursements have actually remained at record high levels despite seeing challenging environment owing to the pandemic. Help us understand how has actually the rural growth been, especially in farm as well as two-wheeler finance, and which are the areas that you're expecting to see more growth going ahead?
And two-wheelers, and then microloans and consumer loans, I will talk differently. Tractors and two-wheelers, essentially, whatever disbursement we do, definitely depend on the growth of the base industries. Especially now we are having fairly large market shares. Obviously, we can't grow very differently than the overall industry. And the fact is that both these industries have seen substantial negative growths in the last 9 months. And we believe that at least in the next 6 to 9 months, this growth will continue to be quite moderate. So how do we grow there then? So we grow by 2 things. One is, rather than just following, I would say, carpet bombing.
Mr. Dubhashi, could you give us a sense of how the outlook for demand looks? The reason we're asking is because multiple players, not necessarily in the same industry, have pointed to a slowdown in rural. Is that something of a concern for your company?
We have been pretty early on this for the last 6 months. I have been saying that the rural situation is not as positive as the narrative makes out to be. There are many reasons for this. Rainfall kept, first it was delayed, and then heavy rains at, towards the end of the season caused a lot of damage to crops. It delayed the sowing for the next season. It has destroyed certain standing crops and also delayed some crops reaching the mandi. So there are many reasons. Of course, COVID and spread of COVID in rural areas. There are many reasons that demand from rural has been slow. I mean, it is not new news, right? Two-wheeler industry is down 23% from last year. Tractor industry is down around 16%. So we expect now, in fact, around 9 months of low demand for rural is over. And hopefully, for the next 6 to 9 months, definitely it will remain subdued. And we will look at optimism for the new monsoon season for it to grow.
All right, Mr. Dubhashi, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for joining us on the show, giving us a take about your earnings as well as the way forward for L&T Finance Holdings.